After a long day at work, it's 10 o'clock at night, kids are away to bed, you've done everything that you need to do for the day, you're lying up watching TV, and suddenly you just feel that urge to have something, biscuits, sweets, something savoury, and you weren't even thinking about food 5 minutes ago. You don't actually feel hungry, you just know that you need something. The thing is, it's not actual hunger, there's something else going on beneath the surface, and once you can fix that, you can stop it in less than 5 minutes. I honestly spent years thinking that I had no willpower, that I was lazy, that there was just something wrong with my brain, because I knew exactly what I needed to do, I knew what foods I should be eating, what foods I shouldn't be eating, but it didn't matter how hard I tried, I really struggled to stay consistent with it. But what I didn't realise at the time is that it didn't have anything to do with laziness or willpower. It never did. It was more about understanding what my brain was actually needing and why I was getting these urges, why I was getting these cravings in the first place. And then just giving it something else to focus on instead, because food was the only crutch that I had. That's what this video was about. It's not about calorie counting, it's not about restricting yourself. Just one simple hack that you can use to stop your cravings in less than 5 minutes flat. Hi, my name's Adam and I'm an online mindset and lifestyle coach and I'm a qualified nutritionist. So what's actually happening whenever the cravings hit at night? The thing is, your brain has been so preoccupied all day, right? From the minute you wake up in the morning, you're scrolling on your phone, then you're getting the kids ready to go to school, you're getting yourself ready to go to work, you're getting your breakfast, you're prepping lunches, you're sitting in traffic, you're driving to work, you're sitting at your desk all day, you're busy, right? But the minute that you come home in the evenings, you're tired, you're stressed, you're burnt out, you've had a really long day, you don't have as much motivation, and your brain is crying out for some form of quick reward and quick comfort, which usually comes around food, because food does make us feel good in the moment. Like, it's pretty impossible to feel sad if you're eating ice cream or chocolate. The part of your brain that is responsible for logical processing and making logical decisions is basically offline at this point, and you're making decisions based on emotion, okay, which is usually stress, boredom, anger, tiredness, or something else that's going on beneath the surface. It's like an itch that you can't scratch. So whenever a craving does show up, you don't have any other tools that you can use to manage it. So ultimately you just end up having the food and then you feel guilty for having the food because you said that you weren't going to do it. The thing about it is, right, it's not random either, because your brain will associate you sitting down in the evenings, for example, putting the TV on and having a snack. It's a comfort mechanism, right? It's something that you've probably done for years. So in your head, you don't want to eat the biscuits, you don't want to eat the snacks, you don't want to overeat at night again, because it's something that you're trying to work on. But your brain's so used to that happening occurring, it's going to drive and push you towards that regardless of what you actually want to do in this moment. You don't want to do it, but your brain does, because your brain associates that with dopamine and comfort, and it helps turn the intensity and the volume down on these cravings and any other emotion it is that you're feeling. Here's the thing about cravings, that when I understood it, it actually changed everything for me. A craving is not permanent, right? It is something that will pass over time, but the problem is most people don't give themselves any space or time to actually sit with the craving, to sit with the discomfort, to sit with the feelings that they have going on beneath the surface, and they just react to their emotions instead of responding to them. So they come home from work, they're sitting down, they're bored whenever they're watching TV, multitasking, scrolling on their phone, and the brain is associating that with wanting to have some food. So you're probably doing what most people do, and it's not through any fault of your own. Nobody's just giving you any other tools to manage it before, but as soon as you have that craving, you're just going straight into the fridge, straight into the snack cupboard, and you're just giving into that temptation straight away. But the science is very, very clear on this, right? If you have a craving and you don't act on it between 5 to 15 minutes, the craving will eventually go away. But the problem is most people don't wait 5 minutes. As soon as they have that craving, they just react to it. There's a term I learned when I done my second nutritionist qualification called surfing the urge, right? And it's basically getting curious about the emotion or the feeling that you're having at the minute. Okay, so you could ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now? Where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? What can I do about it? And then set a timer on your smartwatch or your phone for 10 or 15 minutes and just sit with that. Go and do something else, do a chore around the house, do a task, listen to music, do some breath work, go for a small walk, go and get some fresh air outside, phone a family member or a friend, but give yourself 10 to 15 minutes. After the timer is off, 10 to 15 minutes later, if you still have the craving and you still want to have the chocolate or you still want to have the snack, at least give yourself full permission to have it at that point. Because at least at that point, it is a fully conscious choice and it's not something that you're just reacting to. It's not an unconscious autopilot decision. So the 5-minute rule is actually pretty dead simple. It's something that I've used with hundreds of clients over the last 7 years, and it's something that I continue to use on a daily basis as well. And you can actually use this framework for everything in life, right? It doesn't just have to be around food or cravings. It could be to learn how to control your emotions so you're not reacting when you get angry or frustrated in work. The moment that you have an uncomfortable feeling or an emotion or a craving, don't tell yourself that you can't have it, right? Because if I told you not to think of a pink elephant, what's the first thing you think of? A fucking pink elephant. And it's the same with cravings. If you have a craving for chocolate and you're telling yourself that you can't have chocolate, you're just going to think about chocolate even more. And then the more tired and the more stressed you get, the more burnt out you're going to be, the less logical decisions you're going to make, and eventually you're going to give into that temptation. So what you can do in this scenario is check in with yourself using what I like to call the HALT method. Okay, so when you notice yourself having a craving for chocolate or snacks or something savoury, or you feel an uncomfortable feeling or an emotion or something like that, right? I want you to check in with yourself using the HALT method. So, am I hungry? Okay, is the first question that you want to ask yourself, because if you're not hungry, food is not going to solve the problem. Am I angry? Does somebody say something to piss you off? Are you stressing out over something that you can't control? Am I lonely? Do you feel alone right now? Do you feel like you need connection? Can you call a family member? Can you call a friend? Or am I tired? Because again, if you're tired, your hunger and your cravings are going to go through the roof. You're going to crave more sugary and more salty foods. And again, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to make those logical decisions, right? But if you're tired, food is not going to solve the problem. If you're angry, food is not going to solve the problem. If you're lonely, you need connection, food is not going to solve the problem, okay? So it's been able to identify whether you are actually hungry or not. And I like to call this a circuit breaker, because by asking yourself these questions, you're creating this space between the stimulus of you coming home from work and being stressed and having that craving, and the response of you just reacting and then going into the biscuit cupboard and getting some snacks. This helps create a pause and space in the middle for you to take a step back, check in with yourself. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? What am I actually feeling right now? Am I going to regret this decision tomorrow, or am I going to be proud of it? Do I actually need this right now? How hungry am I on a scale of 1 to 10? So those are some simple questions that you can use to check in with yourself, which creates that space between the stimulus and the response. What you'll find is that 9 times out of 10, you probably won't want to have the thing anymore, because the craving will have went from here to here, because you've actually given it time to pass by. And it'll leave you in a position where you can actually make a proper logical decision instead of making an emotional one. I actually have a free guide on the HALT method explaining what it is, how it works, and how you can implement it as part of your everyday daily routine to help you take back control, manage your cravings, and help improve your discipline around food. You can get that down in the description below. And the thing about it is, right, like anything else in life, the more you do this, the better you're going to get at it. It will require mental effort, will not remember to do it at every single meal. That's not the goal. Most of the time, you're probably not going to realise that you need to do this until after you've already had the craving, because it's so automatic and so deeply ingrained in your brain. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So what I would recommend is that you try to practice this at least 2 to 3 times a day. You can do it with your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your snacks, anything that you're having throughout the day. Just check in with the HALT method, go through the series of questions, which again I'll put in the description below. Set the timer for 5 to 15 minutes, and the more you do that, the better you're going to get, and the more you're going to start checking in with yourself, and the less effort it's going to take for you to be able to do it. And every time you wait out a craving instead of just reacting to it, you're teaching your brain that it doesn't always have to be this way, and you can start to rewire your brain. And then slowly what happens is, over a long period of time, your brain essentially stops expecting that reward, because you've been able to check in with yourself, you've developed enough self-awareness where you can catch yourself in the moment, you can go through the questions, you can set the timer, you give yourself space to think about it, and you realise that that decision is not actually serving you and your goals. But this also works beyond food. It can help with late night scrolling, the urge to check your phone every 5 minutes, the impulse to react emotionally if somebody pissed you off, you get frustrated in work, or you feel angry before you actually act on it. You're building the ability to pause between the action and the response. And that part in the middle, that's the grey area, is going to allow you to take a pause, take a step back, and take back control. Developing this level of self-awareness is honestly one of the best things that you could do. Days that you're tired and you're stressed and you're feeling really emotional are obviously going to be so much harder than the easier days. The craving is going to feel so much stronger, and the timer is going to feel so much longer. It doesn't have to be perfect, and don't expect yourself to be perfect. You have to make mistakes. You can't be good at something until you're bad at it first. But I promise you, if you put this into practice and you stay consistent with it and you keep showing up every day, the better you're going to get, the more self-aware you're going to become, the more in control that you're going to be. If you find this YouTube video helpful, please drop a comment below. Let me know what your takeaway was from it. If you have any other topics that you would like to see me cover on this YouTube channel, again, you can just drop a comment below. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get as much awareness around this channel as possible. And I'm planning on showing up every week to give you guys educational content on mindset, lifestyle management, being able to regulate your emotions, being able to manage your stress, performance, nutrition, running, training, and just general behind the scenes stuff in my life. So I'll see you in the next one.